Good morning. My name is Frédéric GUEN. I'm French, but I live in the beautiful country of the Philippines. Today, I'm going to present to you a new way to build your dashboard with the function GROUPBY. Why GROUPBY is amazing? It's because we are going to replace all the functions COUNTIF, SUMIF, and even UNIQ to extract your data. Just one function, but not only that, there is also other option like to sort the result, and that's great, and that's what I'm going to present to you in this video. But before to start, let me present to you my website. It's excel-tutorial.com, where you can find quizzes, and that's super valuable to evaluate the level of your employee with Excel. And now, let's start immediately the demo. Okay, so before to talk about the function GROUPBY and its benefits, I prefer to talk about the limitation of the function COUNTIF and SUMIF that you use every day. So first, I'm going to extract the unique name of each clause. And now the function COUNTIF to count each time the jacket short has been found in my list. Okay, you can proceed like this. Also, maybe you don't know, you can replace here H2 by H2 and the pound sign to say that I'm going to build my function with all the value returned by the function unique. Like that, you just have to write only one function. And also for the function SUMIF, here we go. So it's easy, no problem for that. But now if I want also to add the color, that's a little bit different. First, I put that here, I change this function. So now the number of combination is much bigger. And also I have a problem to use this time the reference with the pound sign because it doesn't work. Oh, I have to write everything myself. COUNTIF S this time. Another color. Okay, of course it works. And for SUMIF S, the trick here is just to copy paste, replace count by SUMIF S like this, and just put in first position the column price. The rest of the function is exactly the same. And of course, it's easy to realize that the more I'm going to add a new criteria, the more complex will be these two functions. And it's exactly where the function GROUPBY is super useful to use. And not only that, but also the function GROUPBY deliver or offer new options super easy to use. I show you. So I'm going to add column like this. So how to use the function GROUPBY? Super easy. Equal group by, I select the row field. So here the closing. What is my value? Let's say here the column price. And here, very simple, I just have to select the function of calculation and let's say here count. Enter. And if you remember well, we have exactly the same value as the previous function COUNTIF. And not only that, but also the function GROUPBY has automatically ordered the name of my clause and add the total row, but this is an option and we can change that very quickly. So it's very simple, but also I can do much better because if I want this time to have the name of the clause and the color, I return to my function, I go here and I select here the two columns, that's all. Boom, and I have the result. Let's check, and it's still ordered by alphabetic order. So jacket olive, it's here 119. It works. Short navy 149. Short navy here. It works. So as you can see, it's much easier to use the GROUPBY function than the function COUNTIF. And now for SUMIF, what a surprise! I just have to change this parameter and put sum. Again, for this one, 6,000, no accessory, the black is here. Yep, it's exactly the same value, but this time it's easier to build it and for the rest of the document. And of course, if for a reason there is a name change, for instance, here I put white, automatically a new row has been added, and I still keep the total. But as you can see here, for the function COUNTIF and SUMIF, I must extend my selection, and it's really painful to do that each time there is an update in your data source. It's not the case with the function GROUPBY. So now, I did this because we have seen that finally COUNTIF and SUMIF are really not useful. What are the next arguments of the function GROUPBY? The next one is my header. I can put or not the header of my column. But here, of course, if you want to have your header, you must include in your selection the header of your data source. Because if I put here yes and show, what I have here, I have the very first row, and it's totally ridiculous in my case. So what I must do here in my selection, I must include the header of both columns. Okay, but watch out, there will be an error. Ready? Value. What's happened? There is an error because I forgot to also include the header for the column of my values. So I correct this like this. And now I have exactly what I want. That means my result and the header. And I still have the total. The total is the next option. Here, it's exactly like in a pivot table. I can include grand total, and subtotal, but subtotal of the very first column, not for the second one, okay? So if I put here grand total like this, we can see that for accessories, it works, for dress, it works, but not for the color. And we can see that better if I change here my source. And this time, I'm going to include the gender first, clothing, and color. You can see that now the subtotal is only for men or for women. You don't have the subtotal for clothing, neither for color. And this example is very interesting because, as you can see, we must respect the order of the selection. And in my case, if I want to return gender, clothing, and size, and to avoid color, what can I do? Because in this situation, the only situation you can use is to replace this by this selection. But here, of course, I include the color column. So to avoid that, we must build an array in the memory of Excel. And to do that, there is a function choose column. How does this function work? Very simple. I select my range of data, exactly the same. And now I'm going to, first I close the parenthesis to don't disturb you. So I'm just focused on the first argument with the function choose col. And here I want to say I want to return the column 1, 2, and 4. And now I have gender, clothing, and size only, because I have just included in my first argument the function choose column. And also I can totally reorder the result. So I want the column 2 first and 1. So I have the clothing, gender, and the size. And it works perfectly everywhere. You want another trick? No problem. Let's go further. So now we have other arguments. The next one is sort order. I'm going to talk about it later because I prefer to talk about the filter array. The filter array is very interesting because you can say, okay, I have a lot of clothes, but I just want to stay focused on dress and jean, for instance. Okay, how to do that? Well, here I'm going to select my column clothing. I will just write dresses like this. And I return only dresses. Well, here dresses is not really interesting because only women wear dresses. So I'm going to put here. Yes, better. Okay, so I return only the short. You see, it's very simple to use this function like that. Also, what we can do is to do, different of, no problem. And I have everything except the short. And now, if I want here to focus on short and gene, how can I express the OR? Because if you use the OR function, believe it or not, it will not work. You see, it doesn't work. So how to solve this problem? Well, we are close to the solution, but we must use the logical operator. The logical operator to do an OR, it's just plus. Okay, ready? But it won't work because plus plus doesn't mean nothing at this step. But if we put each selection between parentheses, and the same here, now it works. And here in my list, I just return jeans and shorts. Another example, I want to add also accessories. Yes, it works. Just to have a better presentation, I'm going to delete this and keep only jeans. Now it's time to talk about the sort, because here there is something tricky. So here, just before the filter, we have the sort. There is no indication, no tooltip when I go here. Why? It's because I must return the column number, the one I want to sort. And here in this situation, I want to sort on the fourth column. So I put 4. 4 if it's positive number, that's in ascending order. If it's negative, that's decreasing order. But does it work really? Because if I do this, so the minimum value is this one, but after I jump to 3003, but here I have 3091. There is something wrong. Well, in the way I have built my function, it's correct because automatically by default, the function GROUPBY keeps the hierarchy between the values. So yes, I return 2800 in first position, but it's for women and not for men. Men are not included. We can see that here, women and men are sorted. So it's the filter considering the hierarchy of the data. And it's not what I want. I want to totally forget this and focus on the highest value, whatever men and women or size. So how to do that? Well, it's exactly the purpose of the last argument of the function, hierarchy by default. Here we are. Or table. So I want to focus on the value of the table, and I put 1. And I want to order in decreasing order. So -4. And I have an error. And this one is really not easy to find. In fact, here the problem is a combination between the fact that I said that I don't want to use a hierarchy, and previously I have selected the argument as value 2 to say grand total and subtotal. So that means I want to keep the hierarchy. So this is where is a problem. If I put 1 here, that means I cannot use subtitle. So what I'm going to do is just grand total value 1. And now it works. And you can see that it's for the men, but also what I want to do is to change my function and to remove my filter to have a complete view of my data source. Hey, that's the accessories first, and after jacket for women, and so on, and so on, and so on. So you can see that just with one function, you can make a very precise analysis of your data. But we can improve the GROUPBY function by adding not only one calculation type, but many. How to do that? So if I return to my function, here we have seen I have some and all the different names. One is interesting, it's percentage of. Because automatically like that, you can visualize the percentage of your data, but of course you may change the type of your data. But it's not only that. So here I want to add in the same time the count, the sum, and the mean and the max. Okay, let's do that. So how to group or gather all these different type of calculation? For that, I will need the function h stack. And you see array 1, 2, 3, 4. What is my first array? So I say sum. Second array will be count. This is why it's very important to remember the name of each calculation type, because there is no tooltip in this situation. After it was average. No, we said mean. And I close. And when I press enter, now we can see that I have exactly what I said. I mean, the sum of the price, the number of order, the mean, and the max. Finally, it will be better to put average. Yes, better. So for the man, the average sale is about $30. And it's the same everywhere. Also, I'm going to change for my analyze the sort. I don't want to sort anymore. Okay. So here, to summarize, we can see that we can use the choose column to build our custom array for our analyze without respecting the order of the column in our data source. And also with the function hstack, we can also add many different calculation type. It works. But now I'm going to do something that a pivot table is not able to do. It's to group my value by year and by week number, because in a pivot table, the option by week doesn't exist. So what I'm going to do now is to delete this function, because I want to focus on a new group by function and start from scratch. So I create a new group by function, and because this demo is a deep dive, I'm going to select the column date and the header. You will see it's important for the next part. I do the same here. The sum, header, yes, and show. And no. I must change the format of the number, date, and like that I have the result for every day. But of course, that's too much information. What I want is to group my date. And this is where the function GROUPBY is interesting, because here I can write directly the function year. That, of course, now return the date is not good, so I return to general. So it works for the year 2024 and 2000. But in this situation, I have a problem with the header. As you can see, it returns value. And of course, it's logic, because the function year tries to convert the label date, the word date, into a number. And of course, it doesn't work. So to avoid this problem, there is only one solution. It's to build myself my column with the header. So the header will be written manually, and the rest of the data, so that means the date, will be selected in the column. Remember what we have done earlier with hstack, but this time I'm going to use the function vstack, vertical, vstack, and I'm going to put here year, my header, and the rest of vstack will be the function year, but watch out, this time without the header of my selection. So I create an array with just my header and the rest of the value. Does it work now? Yes, it works. Good. So like that, I'm able to create my custom column with my custom header. Now let's focus on the week number. But when I did this demo, I have discovered a problem with the function week num. Look at that. It doesn't work. But if I replace by ISO week num, it works. And I change, of course, the format general. And here it's not year, but it's week. But again, it's not correct because here when I have 1, 2, 3, that's the week of the year 2025. And here I have the week of the year 2024. So I must include both the year and the week. So here, the only way to do that is to create a complex array using 2 times the same column, the column date, and 1 time with the function year, and 1 time with the function iso_week_num. How to do that? Well, I have my first VStack. I'm going to create another one. And to be more explicit, I'm going to insert a new row. So here I have a VStack for the week. And I add another row for the year. Of course, I put a comma, because what I want to do here is to group these 2 columns inside another H stack this time. So I have my first array, I have my second array, and I must close the parenthesis. Not here, one is missing here. Yeah, it looks good. Enter. And it works. I have now my first column with the year 2024, the second column, the week number, and here the price. And of course, if I want to change the type of calculation, I just have to change this argument. It works for any situation. So I hope this demo will be useful for you. Honestly, now, since I have discovered all this trick with the function GROUPBY, I just use this function and not anymore unique SUMIF COUNTIF. I hope it will be very useful for your dashboard in the future. Thank you, bye, and now I'm waiting for your question if you have some questions.